Lisa Crawford pressed her face against the cold window of the research station and watched the pale moon of Kepler 442b spin slowly below them. The ice-covered surface looked peaceful from this distance, but she knew better now. 3 days ago, that moon had been just another rock to study. Now it was the place where everything went wrong. The station meridian floated in the dark, space around the gas giant like a metal flower. 43 people lived and worked here, studying alien life forms and distant worlds. Lisa had been here for 2 years now and loved her job. She spent most days in the biology labs, looking at samples and data from different planets. It was quiet work, but she found it peaceful. Commander Jake Morrison walked into the observation deck where Lisa stood. He was a tall man with gray hair and tired eyes. Jake had been running space stations for 15 years, and usually nothing surprised him anymore. But today was different. "The sample team is back," Jake said quietly. "They found something down there." Lisa turned from the window. "What kind of something? Come see for yourself." They walked through the station corridors together. The halls were bright white and clean. People nodded to them as they passed. Kevin Palmer waved from the computer lab. Engineer Susan Hill called out a greeting from a maintenance panel. Security Chief Ryan Blake gave them a quick salute as he checked the weapons locker. Everything seemed normal. The cargo bay was different. Lisa could feel the tension as soon as the doors opened. 6 crew members stood around a large metal container that hummed with power. Frost covered the outside, and the air around it felt cold. "We found it buried in the ice about 50 meters down," said Lieutenant Danny Rogers, who had led the mission to the moon surface. The whole area around it was different. No other life forms, no bacteria, nothing. Lisa walked closer to the container. It was bigger than she first thought. Maybe 3 meters long and 2 meters wide. Strange symbols covered one side, but they were worn and hard to read. "How old do you think it is?" she asked. "The ice around it had been frozen for at least 1,000 years, Rogers replied. "Maybe longer, but the container itself looks like it was made yesterday. Whatever metal this is, it does not rust or break down." Dr. Palmer came over with his scanning equipment. "I have been running tests since they brought it up. The energy readings are off the charts. Something inside is definitely alive." Jake looked worried. "Alive how?" "Heart rate, brain activity. All very slow like it is sleeping, but definitely there." Lisa walked around the container, studying it from different angles. The symbols looked familiar somehow, but she could not place them. "Have you tried to open it?" "Not yet," Jake said. "I wanted you to look at it first. If this thing is some kind of alien life form, I need to know what we are dealing with." They moved the container to Lab 7, which had the best containment systems on the station. Lisa spent the next 6 hours running. Every test she could think of. The readings were strange. Whatever was inside was big, really big, and it had been sleeping for a very long time. "The biosigns are getting stronger," Palmer said as he checked his instruments. "It is like our tests are waking it up." Lisa felt a chill that had nothing to do with the cold container. Maybe we should stop, but it was too late. A low sound came from inside the metal box. Not quite a growl, but not quite a hum either. The container began to vibrate. "Everyone back," Jake ordered. The humming got louder, the vibration stronger. Then, with a sharp crack, the metal began to split along invisible seams. Lisa had never seen anything like it. The container was opening itself from the inside. Steam poured out as the two halves separated. The lab filled with a smell like wet earth and something else Lisa could not identify. Through the steam she could see movement, something large shifting inside. "Get the containment field up now," Ryan Blake shouted as he burst into the lab with 3 security guards, but Palmer was already at the controls. The energy barrier snapped on just as something dark and huge began to rise from the container. Lisa caught a glimpse of smooth black skin and teeth before the steam blocked her view. The thing inside made a sound like breaking glass mixed with a scream. The containment field flickered. "The field is not holding," Palmer yelled over the noise. Lisa watched in horror as cracks appeared in the energy barrier. Whatever was in there was strong, much stronger than their equipment could handle. The creature threw itself against the field again and again. Each impact sent shockwaves through the lab. Equipment fell from tables. The lights flickered. "Everyone out," Jake commanded. They ran for the doors as the containment field collapsed completely. Lisa looked back once and saw something that would stay in her nightmares forever. The creature was huge and moved like liquid shadow. It had too many teeth and too many eyes, and when it looked at her, she felt like prey. The lab doors sealed automatically as they escaped into the corridor. Emergency lights began flashing red throughout the station. An alarm voice echoed from the speakers. "Attention all personnel. Containment breach in Lab 7. All staff report to emergency stations." Immediately, Lisa leaned against the wall trying to catch her breath. Her hands were shaking. "What the hell was that thing?" Ryan asked. "Do not know," Lisa whispered. "But I think we just made a very big mistake." Through the sealed doors, they could hear the creature moving around the lab. Glass breaking, metal bending. It was testing its new environment, and Lisa had the terrible feeling it was also testing them. The station Meridian had 43 people aboard when they opened that container. Lisa wondered how many would still be alive by morning. The emergency meeting lasted 20 minutes, but felt like hours. Commander Jake Morrison stood at the head of the conference table while his senior staff tried to make sense of what they were dealing with. The creature was still locked in Lab 7, but everyone could hear it moving around. "The lab doors will hold for now," Security Chief Ryan Blake reported. "They are reinforced steel designed for exactly this kind of situation. But I do not like the sounds coming from in there." Dr. Kevin Palmer looked at his tablet with worried eyes. "The bio readings are incredible. This thing is 12 feet tall and weighs at least 800 pounds. Its brain activity suggests intelligence. Levels similar to humans, or maybe higher." Lisa Crawford sat quietly listening to the reports. She kept thinking about those eyes, the way the creature had looked at her before they escaped. It was not the blank stare of an animal. There had been something calculating in that gaze. "What are our options?" Jake asked. "We could try to put it back to sleep," Palmer suggested. "Some kind of gas or electrical pulse." "Too risky," Ryan said. "We do not know how it will react. It might just make it angry." "It already seems angry," said Engineer Susan Hill from her seat by the door. If responding to her words, a loud crash came from the direction of Lab 7. The conference room went quiet, then another crash, and another. Ryan stood up fast. "That does not sound good," his radio crackled to life. "Chief Blake, this is Martinez in Security Station 2. The lab doors just went offline." "What do you mean, offline?" "All power to that section just cut out. Emergency backup is not responding either." Jake and Ryan looked at each other. "How is that possible?" Jake asked. "I am checking now, sir." "Wait. Oh, no. Oh, God, no." The radio went dead. Ryan was already moving toward the door. "All security teams to emergency positions." Code red throughout the station. Lisa followed them out of the conference room. The corridor lights were flashing red, and the alarm was still sounding. She could see crew members running in different directions, some heading for emergency stations, others just running. They reached Security Station 2 to find it empty. The door was torn off its hinges and thrown halfway down the hall. Inside the room, everything was destroyed. Computers smashed. Walls covered in long, deep scratches. And in the middle of it all was Martinez, or what was left of Martinez. Lisa turned away, but not before she saw how the creature had arranged the body. It was not random violence. The positioning looked almost ceremonial, like the creature was trying to communicate something. Jesus, Ryan whispered. How did it get out? Palmer was scanning the wreckage with his instruments. It cut power to the entire section somehow. Then it just walked through the doors like they were paper. Where is it now? Jake demanded as, if answering his question, the lights went out in their section of the corridor. Emergency power kicked in a few seconds later, but the damage was done. The creature was not just loose. It was playing with them. Lisa heard something moving in the ventilation system above their heads. Metal groaning under weight. It is in the air ducts. Impossible, Ryan said. Those ducts are too small. But Lisa was already pulling up the station. Blueprints on a wall terminal. Not all of them. The main air circulation system has passages big enough for maintenance work. If it got into the central hub, it could reach any part of the station. The groaning sound moved away from them down the corridor, heading toward the residential sections. We need to evacuate everyone to the command center, Jake ordered. It is the most secure part of the station. They began herding crew members through the corridors, but the creature was faster. Lisa heard screaming from Section C, then Section D. Each time they reached the source, they found the same thing. Bodies. Arranged in strange patterns. Equipment destroyed in specific ways that seemed almost artistic. It is hunting us, Ryan said, as they found the remains of 3 engineers in the hydroponics bay. But not randomly. Look at this. He pointed to the way the creature had destroyed the plant growing systems. It had torn apart some sections completely, while leaving others untouched. The pattern made no sense to Lisa, but she could tell it meant something to the creature. How many people have we lost? Jake asked. Palmer checked his list. 12 confirmed dead, 6 missing. The rest are secured in the command center. Lisa looked around the destroyed hydroponics bay. Something bothered her about the damage pattern, but she could not figure out what. The creature had left some earth plants completely alone while destroying others. There was logic to it, but not human logic. A new sound echoed through the station. Not the creature moving, but something else. Metal grinding against metal. Sparks began flying from the power conduits along the walls. It is in the electrical systems. Now, Susan Hill called out over her radio. The thing is smart enough to sabotage our infrastructure. The lights flickered and died again. This time the emergency power did not come back on dot in the darkness. Lisa heard the creature moving closer. Its footsteps were surprisingly quiet for something so large. But she could hear its breathing. Slow and steady, like a predator that knew. It had all the time in the world. Command center now, Jake whispered. They moved through the dark corridors using hand lights. Behind them, Lisa could hear the creature following. Not trying to catch them, but not letting them get too far ahead either. Like it was herding them exactly where it wanted them to go. They reached the command center just as the creature appeared at the far end of the corridor. In the beam of Ryan's flashlight, Lisa saw it clearly for the first time since the lab. It was even bigger than she remembered. Its skin was black and seemed to absorb light. Multiple rows of teeth filled a mouth that was too wide for its head. But it was the eyes that scared her most. They were intelligent and patient and completely alien. The command center doors sealed behind them with a solid thunk. Jake immediately began checking the security systems while Ryan counted their weapons. Palmer tried to get the power restored. Lisa sat down at a computer terminal and pulled up all the security footage from the past 4 hours. She watched the creature move through the station like it owned the place, studying their defenses, learning their habits, testing their responses. This is not random, she said quietly. What? Jake asked. The way it kills, the way it destroys things. It is learning about us. Each attack teaches it something new about how we think and how we react. Ryan checked his weapon for the 10th time. So what does that mean? Lisa looked at the sealed doors that were the only thing standing between them and the creature. It means we are not dealing with a mindless killer. We are dealing with something that is studying us like we tried to study it. As if to prove her point, the lights in the command center suddenly came back on. But they were wrong somehow. Too bright in some areas, too dim in others. The creature had not just restored power, it had modified it. It is playing with us, Lisa whispered outside the command center. They could hear the creature moving around, not trying to break in, just letting them know it was there, waiting. 3 days passed in the command center, and Lisa Crawford felt like she was losing her mind. 25 people crammed into a space meant for 8. The air recycling system struggled to keep up. Food was running low. But worst of all was the waiting. The creature had not tried to break into the command center yet. Instead, it seemed content to hunt the rest of the station. Every few hours, the security cameras would show it dragging another body through the corridors, always arranging them in those strange patterns that Lisa was starting to recognize as some kind of language. "We have to do something," Security Chief Ryan Blake said for the 100th time. "We cannot just sit here while that thing picks us off." One by one, Commander Jake Morrison looked older than his 50 years, dark circles under his eyes, hands shaking from too much coffee and too little sleep. "What do you suggest, Ryan?" "That metal monster has torn through every defense we have." Lisa studied the security monitors showing different parts of the station. The creature moved through their home like it belonged there. Sometimes it would stop in front of a camera and stare directly into it. Those moments always made her skin crawl because she knew it was looking at them. "I want to go out there," she said quietly. Everyone in the command center turned to stare at her. Dr. Kevin Palmer dropped his tablet. "Are you insane?" Ryan asked. "Think about it," Lisa continued. "We have been watching this thing for 3 days. Every time someone runs from it or shoots at it, the creature kills them. But it has had plenty of chances to break in here, and it has not tried once. Because these doors are reinforced," Jake said. "No," Lisa shook her head. "I have been studying the footage. This creature is strong enough to tear through those doors if it wanted to. It chose not to." Engineer Susan Hill looked up from her computer where she had been trying to restore communications with Earth. "So, why has it not attacked us?" "I think it is waiting for something. Or someone." Lisa pulled up a video file on the main screen. "Look at this footage from yesterday." The video showed the creature standing outside the command center. Instead of trying to break in, it had sat down and waited for almost an hour, just watching the door. "It was not hunting," Lisa explained. "It was thinking, planning something." Ryan checked his weapon again. It had become a nervous habit. "Even if you are right, what does that mean?" "It means this creature is not just intelligent. It is trying to communicate with us. Every pattern it makes with the bodies, every system it damages or leaves alone, it is all trying to tell us something." Palmer looked skeptical. What could it possibly want to tell us? Lisa had been thinking about that question for hours. "I do not know yet, but I will never find out sitting in here." The argument that followed was loud and long. Jake said it was suicide. Ryan said it was stupidity. Even Susan thought Lisa had lost her mind. But Lisa had made up her decision. "I am going out there," she said finally. "You can lock me out if you want, but I'm going." 2 hours later, Lisa stood at the command center doors, wearing a recording device and carrying nothing more dangerous than a flashlight. Her heart was beating so fast she thought it might explode, but her hands were steady. The doors opened with a soft hiss, and she stepped into the corridor. The station felt different, without the background noise of 43 people living and working. Too quiet, too empty. But Lisa could sense the creature nearby. Something in the air. A feeling of being watched. She walked slowly toward Section B, where the security cameras had last seen the creature. Her footsteps echoed in the empty halls. Every shadow looked like teeth and claws, but she forced herself to keep moving. The first body she found was Lieutenant Danny Rogers, a man who had led the mission to find the container. The creature had arranged him sitting upright against a wall, with his hands folded in his lap. Like he was resting, Lisa knelt down next to the body and spoke into her recording device. "Hey." Positioning suggests respect, maybe even regret. This was not random violence. A sound made her look up. At the end of the corridor, something large moved in the shadows. Lisa felt every instinct screaming at her to run, but she stayed perfectly still. "I know you are there," she said in a normal voice. "I know you can understand me." The creature stepped into the light, and Lisa saw it clearly for the first time without barriers or emergency lighting. It was beautiful in a terrible way. Its black skin had patterns that shifted like oil on water. Its movements were graceful despite its size. And those eyes held intelligence that was definitely not human, but definitely real. Lisa sat down slowly on the floor and kept talking. "I think you have been trying to tell us something. The way you arrange the bodies. The systems you damage. You are not just killing randomly." The creature tilted its massive head, like a dog hearing an interesting sound. It took a step closer. "I think you are lonely," Lisa continued. "I think you have been asleep for a very long time, and when you woke up, you found yourself in a place full of strangers who are afraid of you." Another step closer. Lisa could smell something like wet earth and electricity. The creature was close enough now that she could see the patterns in its skin moving faster. Like a heartbeat. "I am not going to run from you," she said. "I am not going to try to hurt you. I just want to understand." The creature stopped just 10 feet away. This close, Lisa could see that its teeth were not just weapons. They had intricate carvings on them. Art. The creature had decorated itself. They looked at each other for what felt like hours, but was probably only minutes. Lisa talking softly about loneliness and misunderstanding. The creature listening with that tilted head posture. Then something amazing happened. The creature sat down, not the crouch of a predator ready to spring. A real sit like a person would. Sit. It folded its long legs under itself and rested its hands on its knees. The posture was so unexpectedly human that Lisa almost laughed. "There you are," she whispered. "There is the person underneath all those teeth and claws." The creature made a sound, not the scream from the lab or the growls they had heard through the walls. This was softer, almost musical, like it was trying to copy the tone of her voice. Lisa reached slowly into her pocket and pulled out a small photograph. Her family back on Earth. She held it out toward the creature. "This is my family. People I care about who are very far away." The creature leaned forward to look at the picture. Its massive head came within 3 feet of Lisa, but she did not move. She could feel its breath on her face, warm and smelling like ozone dot. After examining the photograph, the creature sat back. Then it did something that made Lisa's heart skip. It reached into what looked like a fold in its skin and pulled out something small. A piece of metal covered in those same strange symbols from the container. The creature held the metal piece out to Lisa the same way she had offered the photograph. With shaking hands, Lisa took the object. It was warm and seemed to pulse with its own heartbeat. The symbols looked like they might be names, or maybe a family group. "You had people too," Lisa said softly. "And now they are gone." The creature made that musical sound again. Sadder this time, Lisa looked into those alien eyes and saw something she recognized. Grief, loss, the same emotions she would feel if she were trapped forever away from everyone she loved. "We are not so different after all," she whispered. Lisa Crawford spent the next week doing something nobody thought possible. She was teaching an alien war beast to be gentle. Every morning she would leave the command center despite the protests of Commander Jake Morrison and Security Chief Ryan Blake. Every evening she would return with new observations and stories that sounded impossible. The creature had a name, in its own language that sounded like wind through metal when Lisa tried to pronounce it. She started calling it Ash because of its dark skin and the way it seemed to appear and disappear like smoke. To her amazement, the creature learned to respond to the name within days. "It is remarkable," Dr. Kevin Palmer said as he reviewed Lisa's recordings. "The creature shows clear signs of complex emotional responses, grief over its lost family, curiosity about human behavior, even what appears to be affection toward Lisa." Jake paced the command center like a caged animal. "This is insane. That thing has killed 18 people. 18 Lisa. And you are out there having tea parties with it. It killed people who attacked it or ran from it," Lisa replied calmly. "Every single death happened because someone treated it like a monster instead of an intelligent being. When I approach it peacefully, it responds peacefully." Ryan Blake showed her security footage on the main screen. "Look at this. Yesterday, while you were in the hydroponics bay with that creature, it killed 2 more people in Section F." Lisa studied the footage carefully. "Who were they?" "Johnson and Martinez from the maintenance crew. They were trying to repair the communication array without telling me first," Lisa said. "I told everyone that any movement through the station had to be coordinated through me." Ash sees sudden movements by strangers as threats to his territory. "His territory," Ryan exploded. "This is our station." "Not anymore," Lisa said quietly. "We brought Ash here against his will. We invaded his space first when we opened that container. From his perspective, we are the intruders." The arguments were getting more heated each day. Half the surviving crew wanted to trust Lisa's approach. The other half thought she had lost her mind. Engineer Susan Hill had become Lisa's strongest supporter after seeing footage of Ash carefully moving damaged equipment out of Lisa's way. "The creature shows clear problem-solving abilities," Susan reported. "Yesterday, it rewired 3 power conduits to restore lighting in the botanical section. The work was precise and actually improved our efficiency." Palmer nodded in agreement. "It also seems to understand that Lisa needs certain environmental conditions. It has been maintaining optimal temperature and air circulation in areas where she spends time, but not everyone was convinced." Ryan had been pushing for a military solution since day one. "We should contact Earth and request a Marine unit. Hit this thing with everything we have while it is distracted by Lisa." "And then what?" Lisa asked. "Even if you could kill Ash, which I doubt, what would we have learned? This is the first time humans have made contact with an intelligent alien species, and you want to solve it with bullets." Jake looked torn between his duty to protect his crew and his responsibility as a scientist. "Lisa, I respect what you are trying to do, but we have lost too many people. I have to think about the survivors." That night, Lisa made a decision that would change everything. Instead of returning to the command center, she stayed in the botanical section with Ash. She brought a sleeping bag and made herself a small camp among the moon Earth plants that Ash seemed to find fascinating. The creature watched her set up her sleeping area with obvious interest. When she lay down, Ash settled nearby, but not too close, giving her space while still maintaining a protective position between her and the corridor entrance. Lisa fell asleep to the sound of Ash humming quietly to himself. The tune was alien, but somehow comforting, like a lullaby from another world. She woke up hours later to find Ash sitting perfectly still beside her sleeping bag. He had not moved from that position all night, standing guard over her while she slept. "Good morning, Ash," she said softly. The creature made a pleased sound and gently touched her shoulder with one massive finger. The gesture was careful and controlled. Nothing like the violent creature that had terrorized the station weeks ago. Began teaching Ash simple human gestures and words. He learned incredibly fast. Within days, he could nod yes and no. He understood sit and stay and come. He even learned to recognize the names of other crew members. The breakthrough came when Lisa decided to introduce Ash to another person. She convinced Susan Hill to join them in the botanical section for what she called a controlled meeting. Susan was terrified but trusted Lisa enough to try. Lisa spent an hour explaining to Ash that Susan was a friend, someone important to Lisa, who should be protected, not threatened. When Susan finally entered the botanical section, Ash was sitting quietly beside Lisa. The creature watched the newcomer carefully but made no aggressive moves. Lisa talked to both of them, explaining to Susan how to move slowly and speak calmly, telling Ash that Susan was part of her pack. After 20 minutes, Susan was actually reaching out to touch Ash's arm. The creature allowed the contact and even made a pleased humming sound when Susan complimented the patterns on his skin. "This is incredible," Susan whispered. "He is actually gentle." "He always was," Lisa replied. "We just did not know how to see it." Word of the successful meeting spread through the command center. Palmer begged to be the next person introduced to Ash. Even Jake began talking about the possibility of peaceful coexistence. But Ryan Blake had different plans. Lisa was teaching Ash to recognize different types of earth plants when the attack came. Ryan had convinced 3 of his security officers to help him end what he called the alien threat once and for all. The first, Lisa knew about it, was when she heard weapons fire in the corridor outside the botanical section. Ash heard it too, and immediately went into a defensive posture. The gentle creature disappeared, and the predator returned. "No, Ash," Lisa called out. "They are just scared. Do not hurt them." But it was too late. Ryan and his team burst into the botanical section with plasma rifles raised. They saw the massive alien creature looming over Lisa and opened fire without hesitation. Ash moved faster than anything that size should be able to move. He threw himself between Lisa and the weapons. Fire. The plasma bolts that hit him left smoking wounds on his dark skin, but he did not retreat. Instead, Ash roared. The sound was like nothing Lisa had ever heard. Rage and pain and betrayal all mixed together in a noise that made the station walls vibrate. Ryan's team managed to fire 3 more shots before Ash reached them. What happened next was over in seconds, but Lisa knew the images would haunt her forever. The creature she had been teaching to be gentle remembered how to be a killer. It was over Ryan Blake, and his 3 officers were dead. Ash stood among their bodies, breathing hard and bleeding from multiple wounds. But when he looked at Lisa, his eyes were not angry. They were sad. "I know," Lisa whispered as she approached him carefully. "I know you did not want to hurt them. But they gave you no choice." Ash knelt down so Lisa could examine his wounds. The plasma burns were serious, but not fatal. As she worked to clean and bandage them, the creature hummed softly, the same lullaby he had sung while she slept. Lisa realized that everything had changed. The other survivors would never trust Ash now. They would see him as the monster who killed their security chief, not the gentle being who had learned to sit and stay and protect someone he cared about. "We need to show them who you really are," she told Ash as she finished with his bandages. "We need to prove that you are not a monster." Ash looked at her with those intelligent alien eyes and made a sound that Lisa had learned meant agreement. Whatever came next, they would face it together. The rescue ship arrived on a Tuesday morning, while Lisa Crawford sat in the botanical section teaching Ash the names of different earth flowers. She had been living outside the command center for 2 weeks now. The other survivors thought she had lost her mind, But Lisa had never felt more clear about anything in her life. "Rescue ship Titan requesting permission to dock," came the voice over the station communication system. "We received your distress signal. What is your status, Meridian?" Commander Jake Morrison looked exhausted as he responded from the command center. "Titan, this is Morrison. We have 21 survivors out of 43 crew. We also have a situation you need to be aware of before docking." Lisa listened to Jake, trying to explain their circumstances to the rescue team. "How do you tell someone that your station has been taken over by an alien creature, but it is not what they think? That the monster has learned to be gentle. That it protects one of your crew members like she was family." Ash heard the conversation too and tilted his massive head toward the speakers. Lisa had taught him that voices from the communication system meant people who were far away. But these voices meant people who were coming closer. "They are here to help," Lisa explained to Ash. "But they will be afraid of you at first, just like everyone else was afraid." Ash made a questioning sound. In the weeks since their friendship began, he had learned to express complex ideas through combinations of sounds and gestures. This particular tone meant he understood, but was worried about protecting Lisa. "You will not need to protect me from them," Lisa assured him, "but they might try to protect me from you. Do you understand the difference?" Ash nodded slowly. It had taken him days to learn that gesture, but now he used it naturally. Lisa sometimes forgot she was talking to an alien who had never seen humans before. A few weeks ago, the docking procedure took 3 hours because the rescue team was being very careful. Lisa used the time to prepare Ash for what was coming. She explained that the new people would have weapons and might point them at him, that they would be loud and scared and would not understand what he really was. "When they first see you, I want you to sit down immediately," Lisa instructed. "Do not stand up even if they yell or point weapons at you. Can you do that for me?" Ash touched her shoulder gently with one finger, his way of saying yes and showing affection at the same time. "Dr. Kevin Palmer came over the communication system from the command center. Lisa, the rescue team, wants to talk to you before they board the station. They need to understand what they are dealing with." Lisa walked to the nearest communication panel with Ash following behind her. The rescue team leader introduced himself as Captain Brad Murphy. His voice was professional, but Lisa could hear the skepticism underneath. "Dr. Crawford, we have been briefed on your situation. Command says you have made some kind of contact with a hostile alien entity." "That is correct, Captain. His name is Ash, and he is not hostile unless threatened. He has been protecting me and helping maintain the station systems." There was a long pause before Murphy responded. "Doctor, I need you to understand something. We have a full combat team aboard this ship. Our orders are to eliminate the alien threat and evacuate all survivors. I would prefer to do this peacefully, but I will do whatever is necessary to assure crew safety." Lisa felt cold fear in her stomach. "Captain, please listen to me. This creature is intelligent and capable of communication. If you approach him as a threat, he will respond as one. But if you give me a chance to introduce you properly, there will be no violence. I am sorry, Doctor, but I cannot take that risk. We will be boarding in 30 minutes. I need you to move to a secure location away from the creature." Lisa looked at Ash, who was listening to every word with obvious understanding. His skin patterns were shifting faster, which meant he was agitated, but he remained sitting calmly beside her. "I will not leave him," Lisa said firmly. "And if you try to hurt him, you will have to go through me first." Another long pause. "Doctor, that would be extremely unwise." After the communication ended, Lisa sat down next to Ash and explained what was about to happen. The creature listened carefully and then did something that surprised her. He stood up and walked to the corner of the botanical section where he had been storing various objects he had collected around the Station. Ash returned with a piece of metal torn from the original container. He had been carving symbols into it with his claws for days. Now he offered it to Lisa. "What is this?" she asked, as she examined the carved metal. Ash made a series of sounds and gestures that Lisa had learned meant family and protection and forever. He was giving her something that would identify her as under his protection. A way for other members of his species to know she was important to him. "Thank you," Lisa whispered as she hung the metal piece around her neck like a pendant. "I will treasure this always." Ash settled back down beside her, and they waited together. The rescue team came through the station like soldiers entering a war zone. Lisa could hear their heavy footsteps and radio chatter echoing through the corridors. Ash heard them too, but remained sitting calmly just as Lisa had asked. When the botanical section doors finally opened, 6 armed figures in combat armor entered with weapons raised.